Hello, my name's Artemis, and I'm sure we've all seen the absolute fuckery that's made its way onto the Twitter trending pages with a certain artist and a certain commissioner and the process that has happened with that. Obviously, I'm just going to start this, not the artist's fault on this one. No, somebody commissioned a beautiful piece of artwork and decided, how can I be a massive cunt about this? Oh, I know, I'll put it into some GenAI system, completely against the artist's terms of service, and get a really poor animation out of it. Oh, and then I'll double down and be a massive prick about it after the fact as well. And here we are, having opened up a huge can of worms about what you actually have when you commission something and your rights and what artists can or cannot do to protect themselves. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, because damn, it needs talking about. So the first thing to talk about is obviously a terms of service, which is not just a list of rules that you have to read before you commission someone. It is actually a legally binding contract between you, the commissioner, and them, the artist. You are going to them for a service, and these are the legally binding rules for getting that service and what you can do with it. And ultimately, the intellectual property of the art they create will always remain the artist's. And they can put what they want in their terms of service, and you have to agree to that to commission them. So the first thing, which is them filing a DMCA to have this taken down because it violated their copyright rights, is valid. This can be fought in a court of law. This is something that they have enacted because they can. And Twitter agreed. And you can say that it's automated. And you can say that, oh, well, they've actually abused the system. But no, because they had specifically in their terms of service, you cannot feed this into a GenAI system. And you did that. You broke it. You broke the terms of service. You broke the legally binding contract, which means all of the consequences are on you. And you can bluff and say that you're going to court and all of that shit, but ultimately, this is something that I don't think a lot of people have really considered as strong as it actually is. The terms of service is a very important thing. And as soon as you agree to it, breaking it has consequences. These are the fucking consequences, on top of, exposing yourself as a prick, but we'll get into that. It's almost very worrying that we also have this sort of sense of entitlement on the rise. People are now equating commissioning art with like going to the store and buying a shovel and then getting told off for not using it to dig, when it's very much not the same thing. Okay, this is not a mass-produced thing. This is not something that has been built in a factory. This is a very unique thing. When you go and commission art, it is unique, it is personal. It is someone else pouring their blood, sweat, and tears and their years of practice into something specifically for you. So it's not exactly going to relate. You can't just bring out the metaphor of, well, if I buy a fucking house, no one can tell me how to live in it. Shut the fuck up, you entitled little bitch, okay? No one's going to side with you on that, okay? And you can be all, well, we have rights as commissioners. You do. And those rights are explained in the terms of service. So if you understand that you get rights through the terms of service, you kind of have to understand that so does the artist. And again, we also know exactly the sort of person that's making those kind of arguments, don't we? And, whoo, I have some shit to say about them. Alrighty, I'm just going to come out and say it. It's only ever the unskilled assholes that are actually supporting this shit and doing it, isn't it? You never see someone who is a master painter or 3D modeler or anything like that being so pro-Gen AI. It's always the people who can't actually do shit for themselves. The people that actually rely on the artists that they then choose to take advantage of and break all of their rules. Because, I mean, if you want to make an animation through Grok using some artwork, that's fine. That's your right. You can do that. Sit down, draw it out, sketch whatever you need to do, and put your artwork into the system, because you have the right to do that and nobody can tell you otherwise. This isn't your artwork. You didn't create it, okay? You can say that you bought it, but at the end of the day, the terms of service still have the intellectual property under the artist. If they decide to make merch out of this, you can't really say shit, okay? You can go out and do these things, and all of this time spent fighting, all of this time spent arguing online with people that, by the way, are never going to see your point of view, could be spent actually learning how to be an artist. But no, we are stuck with the people that don't have the passion, don't have the fucking focus to actually go out and do these things for themselves, bitching at the people that actually do, as if they're not wholly reliant on them for every piece of creative fucking expression they've ever shared online. So the really funny part of this entire thing is not just the act. The act isn't really funny, it's bad, but obviously it's the fact that someone has done something which is already going to be completely against the fandom. The fandom is not Gen AI friendly. We don't fucking like it as a majority, and we're never going to, because we know it's coming to threaten us. But it's the fact that not only did this person do this thing, they doubled down, they tripled down, they quadrupled down. They're still fighting this fight, and I just have to wonder, why? What do you have to gain? What exactly is the end goal here? Because you've already blacklisted yourself from the majority of artists. No one's going to want to take a commission off you now. People are not going to be friends with you. People have seen exactly what your opinions are for the people that actually are the backbone of this fandom, and they're not going to vibe with that. So what exactly are you fighting for now? Is this just sunk cost fallacy or what? Because there is no good end goal to this. The only real end goal is you go to court and they toss the case out because they're like, yeah, you broke the fucking contract. What did you expect to happen? I really don't understand why somebody would put so much effort into being such a fucking ass about all of this, and yet here the fuck we are. I think the really disappointing part of all of this is that it has highlighted a very ugly side of the fandom. There's always going to be this variety of opinions and thought and expression, and that's actually a good thing. We support that, but it's very disheartening when you see something like this happen and then you see people supporting the person who's done the shitty thing, and they're like, well, actually, no, we have rights. Once you create this piece of artwork that is totally unique and totally dependent on your skills and talents as an artist, it's mine. And like, no, how do you get that deluded? How do you honestly think that someone else's hard work is yours? I understand we all live in a capitalist society where your hard work is someone else's, but come on. It's really fucking disappointing to see people come out and say, well, no, we have rights on this shit. Well, actually, no, you're in the wrong. Because, I mean, fuck, what happens? What happens now if it turns out they go to court and they side with this prick? What happens then? What kind of precedent does that set? Is any artist going to feel happy taking on a commission now, knowing full well that the law does not have their backing when it comes to their fucking copyright? I mean, what kind of fandom are we going to have if an artist is scared to actually do a commission because of what might happen with their intellectual property? I think it's time they start thinking about that and thinking about how they protect themselves. Ultimately, I think what this comes down to is that this was inevitable. At some point, something like this was going to happen because of the way the systems are working. AI is a thing that's here to stay, unfortunately. It might go the way of the NFT, but we can only hope. And there was always going to come a point where it comes down to AI and commissioner rights versus terms of service and DMCA stuff and artist rights. And I feel like the ultimate lesson here is for furry artists, makers, creators, all of it, to figure out how exactly they can protect themselves. I personally think it's time to put the hammer down. I think it's time to say, right, okay, every single commission, no matter what it is now going to have a full contract. Not just a terms of service, a full signed contract to protect you. Because as we've seen, people are happy to break the terms of service because they think they can. And if they're going to do that, you want the most legally binding document on your side, especially when it comes to something like a fucking fursuit. We've seen people initiate chargebacks. We've seen people do some very shady, shitty scams on artists. And I think, if anything, this entire situation right here serves as a lesson that you need to do what you can to protect yourself, your business, and your intellectual property. Please look into contract law. It's going to be very important. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it made some sort of sense. What do you think? How does this all go? Do you agree with this, or are you wrong? I'm very biased in this, but I feel like the fandom is as well. This is not something the fandom is just going to tolerate. This is not something that we're really going to be happy with. I mean, artists have rights and they are the backbone of our fucking fandom. And we already know that this thing is coming for their jobs and their livelihoods. We don't need to fucking help it along. And if you choose this hill to die on, then that's fine. But that's what's gonna happen. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this video, then leave a comment, let me know what you thought about it, or maybe go and check out some ways you can support us, and maybe give us some money, and maybe see some feet, who knows? It's really fun that I can just put all of that shit right there when I've been talking about something so serious. But there's also the Patreon, where you get like access to an exclusive Discord server, exclusive videos, exclusive me, which would also help us pay our bills, which is just lovely. And, you know, we have some fucking bills. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and that's about it. Yeah, don't be a dick. Feels like that's the ultimate lesson of every video I make these days.